my Duke University tie today. We don't have much to brag about during football season. All of you have in front of you one of these sheets, and we're going to be talking about that. You know, we've been talking about Hazel and Mabel, and I've got to tell you that 40 years ago, Hazel was one dynamic gal. She played tennis at the Knoxville Racquet Club, and this was in the days when everybody wore white. There were no colors. And Hazel was the first person to come out in a powder blue tennis outfit, and from there, the rest is history. It was really amazing. But Hazel came to me some 40 years ago, and she asked, what kind of insurance should I buy? Now, we had done an extensive fact-finding interview, and I didn't have a fancy sheet like this, and there weren't as many different type policies back then. But in any case, we talked about term insurance, and the nice thing about term insurance is it is cheap, and you can get a whole bunch of insurance. One of the problems is that it's cheap because less than 1% of all term policies ever wind up as a death claim, so the companies don't have to pay anything. It's a great profit tool. We love them. Now, on the same token, it also runs out for the consumer, but that's another story. You have the whole picture of regular term insurance right here. Now, a new thing that has come on the market is called return of premium term, and I couldn't talk about that with Hazel because we didn't have it back then. But the return of premium term means that if you live out your term period, we'll give you all your money back, and people like that. So at any rate, that's a good product, and there are some other features in there that I could go into. Whole life insurance was something that was around for a gazillion years, and people forget that the nice thing about the old-fashioned whole life insurance policy is everything was guaranteed. Now, whole life insurance policies aren't sold by a majority of companies today. It's too expensive to manufacture, and I could get into that with you individually. But in any case, whole life insurance was great. Everything was guaranteed. You paid the premium and the companies took the risk, and it was neat. Universal life came about, and I can remember in Knoxville, the Transamerica Occidental people brought that out for the first time, and they had a dinner, a luncheon, and this was not a rubber chicken deal. This was wine and the whole 9 yards. And they came out. The idea behind Universal Life is that the company set an interest rate, and ideally it was less expensive than whole life, so you could get more of a death benefit if you bought Universal Life. There are other features involved. They're all listed here. There's nothing sillier than one grown person reading to another grown person, so I'll leave that to you. And finally, there was the new type program with variable Universal Life, which came out. Prudential was probably one of the first people, if not the first company to do that. And there, very simply, the cash values in there are made up of various mutual funds, and it's a very exotic type thing. One of the things that I always love fans like this, bless your heart. Now, in any case, one of the things about this product is that, and the Universal Life, is that there is no set premium. You can stuff it full of money, or you can pay very little, and I'll show you how to do that one of these days individually. So, at any rate, I had a lot of people stuff it full of money because business owners like this. Because remember, in Tennessee, there's a spendthrift provision that says that your creditors, except for the Internal Revenue, cannot get those cash values, get out those cash values. So a business owner who's afraid of being sued stuffs a lot of money into those contracts. Well, in any case, I described these to Hazel, and we had gone through a needs analysis, and she selected a product, and she was selecting one for her husband. And this is not unusual. There are a lot of gals that are the financial wizard in the family when the husbands do other things, they're doctors and so forth. And so Hazel selected a product, and the only problem was her husband was a little excessive weight there, about 300 pounds and so forth. We had to get him down to people size and able to really take care of him. But at any rate, he also had high blood pressure. He was a diabetic, and he just about had everything wrong with him. Prudential wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. But I found a company that would, and we got him some insurance. Now, the sad thing is that he didn't live a normal lifespan. He died fairly young. And Hazel decided that it was time for her to go to work. And so she went to work with her friend Mabel. And the two of them formed a business, and they went together. And once again, Hazel came to me and introduced me to Mabel. And they said, we love this business, but there's one problem. What do we do to get out of it? And so we set up a thing called a buy-sell agreement. It was drawn up by an attorney. I'm not an attorney. But I provided the funding for Hazel and Mabel so that if one of them died, the other one, the money would flow in income tax-free, and then that with the surviving partner would then pay off the estate of the other. So what that did was that the money got the other deceased partner's estate out of the business, and the surviving partner owned it. I also mentioned something to Hazel about key person insurance, because they hired a guy who was really good. He sold a lot of the product, and so what they wanted to do, they were scared to death that he might leave and go to a competitor. And so what they did was they couldn't afford to pay a lot of money, but they bought him a nice policy on his life and let him name his wife as the beneficiary. And he was so thrilled that he was going to have the cash values. And so they did this. The only cost to him was income tax on there, because, of course, the premiums, he was going to have to pay that on his life. It was deductible as a business expense. So in any case, the key man, knew that his wife was well provided for, and he did not leave their organization. Now, while I was talking with Hazel, I also asked them how long they were going to continue this guy's salary if he became sick or hurt, if he had a heart problem, if he had Parkinson's, if he had something that was going to take him out, how long would he continue his salary? And they kind of spoke in tongues. They really didn't know. And so we set up a disability plan that guaranteed his income after about 30 days and would pay until age 65. And incidentally, while we were at it, Hazel and Mabel also bought a disability plan to go along with that. Well, as the years went by, of course, Hazel and Mabel, and as you know them, we know them as older people, they were concerned. And what was going to happen when they retired from their business, and maybe retirement was going to bring on ill health. And so consequently, I set up a long-term care plan for them, which also we ran through the business because they were a C corporation and they could do wonderful things with that and deduct premiums and so forth. So we set up a long-term care policy for them, running through the business, so that if they, in their old age, became infirm, senile, or had some other ailment, why, we could go ahead and their finances would be in good shape. Now, for Hazel and Mabel, their business had done very well, and so they were rather well-to-do, and this represented an asset preservation tool to keep their estates for their families. Now, the 2-minute warning sign has just gone up, and I want to tell you the things that I want you to provide me for. One is that I'd like to know somebody that maybe is dependent on their income to continue on, that they don't have TVA paying them all kinds of money, so that they might get some disability coverage. I'd like you to find somebody that maybe is still in good health, maybe in the 50s or 60s, that it's time to start thinking about long-term care. I'd like you to find me a business where they have a key person in there, and perhaps that key person needs some help. And I'd like you to find me a business that has a partner, where there are partnerships, and maybe I can go in and help them with some kind of program that would guarantee that they would be able to leave that business when they died and have their family well secured. So those are the things I want you to look for me for. I'd appreciate any referrals you can give me, because remember, at Prudential, we like to help people grow and protect their wealth. Thank you.